Well, back and ready and better than ever. Time to talk a little FSU lawsuit. Time to talk a little ACC kickoff. Why would you have your arch nemesis go right behind you in a conference call? We'll talk about Jim Phillips and this interesting decision here on today's episode of Locked on ACC.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to the pod from anywhere, even in the audio space. And on our YouTube page, we are on the road to 2,000, and we cannot do it without you. So go ahead, tell a friend to tell a friend that they need to click that subscribe button. Kenton, how are we feeling on this Monday?
I'm feeling great as always. It's great to have you back in the saddle. You know, I was enjoying having some other co-hosts, and then here you come moseying back on it. No, but seriously, it's always great to have you back. My days were quite eventful without you here, but you know, it's always great to have the dynamic duo back together.
No doubt about it. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. We got to talk through some Locked On ACC kickoff happening July 22nd to the 25th. Yeah, you read that right. 4 days of jam-packed interviews, and welcome to the squad for some of our former Pac-12 programs and all the good additions and the conversations that Jim Phillips and company will have. We'll have a conversation about that today, as well as some lawsuits, as I mentioned. We love a little razzle-dazzle with our show. I think it's going to be a good one. I can already see the comments.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, y'all know me. Y'all know how much I love telling you when I'm right. And boy, do I have something to brag about being right about in this episode. It's just eating me up inside to even have to wait and contain it to tell y'all how right I was.
Was it Taylor Swift and the script was right? That's what you want to talk about?
Okay. Well, no, although I did predict the Super Bowl to a T. I predicted that it would be an extremely close game that Mahomes would be the difference in because, you know, I have as much faith in Brock Purdy as I have in gravity to not bring me down to earth if I jump out of a third-story window. So, you know, that's just the reality that I thought it was there. And I said the pieces around him would keep the game close, but there'd be a moment where he had to do something special, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, could he? Not the guy. He's not him. He is, in fact, not him.
Never was going to be him, game managers and all the things. But I think when we get to ACC kickoff conversations that we could have was, do you feel like you're a game manager or a game changer? We're going to ask every quarterback that. That's rude?
I'm not asking quarterbacks that. I am not asking those quarterbacks.
That's rude? Okay.
Very. See, this is spoken like somebody who didn't go to the last one because it was a little feisty in there. The players and coaches was ready to get after it.
As they should. I think it's a high time that we have, you know, some hard-hitting conversations around some very important topics. And so ACC kickoff, for those that don't know, it is usually a 2-day event where people come and they talk to your favorites of the favorites, 3 players and your head coach, and you talk through how you feel like the season's going to go. It's a lot of fluff and pomp and circumstance, and everyone says all the right things and talks about the tough season that maybe was, or talks about the highlights of what could have been, you know, or was an incredible season for them. I ain't going to hold you. This ACC kickoff, who's going to be jolly? Because not only do you have everybody who didn't, you know, win the ACC championship, didn't have a, you know, great season, or probably didn't have the season that they wanted, but then your own damn champion got freaking, what's the word I'm looking for?
Snubbed.
Okay. Couldn't even get into the college football playoffs after going undefeated. Yeah. So, like, who's going to break out the first question? How do you feel about not making what do you feel about the state of the ACC? Do you feel like this, you know, league is important enough or can you be competitive here? Do you feel like this, you know, league holds you back from being in a college football playoff conversation? Are you excited about having 12? Does it water it down? Like, the questions.
I'm asking DJU how it feels to be back on the East Coast, because he's a West Coast guy. He's a West Coast guy. He messed around out there at Oregon State to have one of his best seasons, and now you're back on the East Coast. What's going on, brother? What's going on?
How do you like Tally in comparison to Clemson, South Carolina? I think the T's a little finer.
I'm sure.
T's a little sweeter. The T is sweeter.
With all due respect to Clemson, I'm sure that there are many more things for him to do now with NIL and all that floating around in Tallahassee than he had as a college student who could not legally get paid in Clemson, South Carolina. I'm sure. I have a very strong suspicion about that.
Does he have that one circled on the calendar? That's the $1 million question. Somebody's going to ask.
Does Dabo have it circled on the calendar?
What's your relationship like with Dabo now? Can't wait for it. But let's talk about how kind of it will roll out. Again, this year is going to be a 4-day process where they have all the teams here to talk about their respective programs. And we have some new additions, but everything starts with the leader. Jim Phillips is the one who kicks us off, and he always gives an address about how good things are, how bad things are, the positives. And then normally the positives include the entire conference, right? So, we had 22 champions, and he's usually talking about lacrosse and field hockey and soccer, right? But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, the ones that make the money, it's hard sometimes for him to find it when it comes to football and the positives. And the past couple times it's been about, will Notre Dame ever join? And then it became about, well, who's going to be here if, we can't get the creme de la creme? How do we feel like when we're lagging behind, can we ever catch up? And this year, I just feel it's going to be even more special because I know you can't probably talk on an impending investigation, but you're going to have to give us something.
I mean, here's the thing, right? There are so many. He does his State of the Union bit. Yeah. Every year, right? Well, I wouldn't call it a bit necessarily because he's not joking. He gets up there and he's serious about it. He does the State of the Union rundown and, these are the things we've accomplished and this conference has done this and this and this. And we had X amount of teams make bowl games and X amount of teams in the President's Cup finish, and so on and so forth. Brother, we don't care about none of that.
Well, you know how you always say, I might tell you a joke, but I never tell you a
lie.
Jim don't be doing that. He be lying. He be up there telling a tale now.
So you said Jim ain't gonna tell us a joke, but he gonna tell you that fib, as they would say. Because the kids can't say that a parent lied. So
he gonna tell us a story.
He told a story. He told a story on him.
He gonna tell a couple stories. So it was just get to the nit and the gritty, okay? But yes, I agree that it is a lot of showmanship, but ultimately right now I think this year is never the collar's going to be sweating a little bit, especially because day one comes with the heavy hitters. Not mincing any words. Florida State is going to be on day one immediately following Jim Phillips. And we all know, if you don't know, Florida State is currently in legal minglings with the conference, right? And they're the team that got booted. So there's a whole lot of from the college football playoff, and there's a lot of tension there. So how he addresses that, and maybe he's like, I'm really disappointed in the committee and yada yada yada. Is Boo Corrigan going to turn his head? What are we gonna do? I like all the spice. I'm ready for it. This is probably the most anticipated ACC kickoff I've ever been a part of.
Oh, absolutely. This ACC kickoff has a lot of intrigue about it because obviously the spice factor is there. But we're also forgetting. See, people said that I call Cal and Stanford cousins. No. Y'all family now. Come on. And don't get me wrong. Cousins are very much family, especially in our community, where your cousins are more like your sisters and brothers sometimes. I get it.
100%.
But no, y'all fully in this thing. Y'all are in. Come on. Okay.
So if you're Jim Phillips, are you speaking to Boo Corrigan or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Hugging hands.
Why would y'all not speak to Boo Corrigan?
What you mean?
The question.
What you mean?
Why would y'all not?
Mike Norvell walking right past him. I'm just letting you know that now.
He is the spokesperson for a committee, Candace. So imagine if you are the spokesperson for the U.S. National Swimming Association, right? And they decide to make a rule that you don't necessarily agree with, but you're still the spokesperson and you don't decide to step down. What will be your job as spokesperson? To come out and say, this is the rule. This is the new rule. You may not agree with it, but it's the rule, and you're the spokesperson. I'm not, whether or not Boo felt like they deserve to be in, he's just the spokesperson. You know what I mean?
Baby, Boo didn't fight hard enough, and if I were Boo, I would have laryngitis. That's what I'm gonna say. I would just have laryngitis. All right, let's talk a little bit more about who else will be joining Florida State for day one of ACC kickoff. But when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find the quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs isn't just another job board. It has a vast network of more than a billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats that might not have the time or resources to hire. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Reading is kicking my behind today. All right.
But you're fighting back. You're fighting back, and that's what matters.
Jim Phillips, Florida State, Georgia Tech, okay, and the newbie SMU will be day one. So you got, you'll cut, when you have a barbecue, right?
Here we go.
And you bring in the sides, right? And I'm coming from an auntie perspective, right? You bring in the sides, right? You got that one auntie that bring the mac and cheese. Every year she faithful with the mac and cheese. You got the one auntie bring the yams, one auntie maybe bring the greens, all that. You got the one auntie, that everybody's good, we're mingling, got the Alizé flowing, probably have some good juice and whatever have you. Then you see somebody say, let's play spades. Okay. So you got the spades table, right? You got Commissioner Phillips, you got Florida State, Georgia Tech and SMU decided to be partners, right? Next thing you know, Florida State done reneged, pissing off Commissioner Phillips.
You went a very long way around to say somebody reneged at the spades table. I just want to let you know that.
Now y'all just minding your business. Right at the cookout, you just over here watching them yell at each other, going on. Georgia Tech trying their best to kind of, hey, we're just here, like we're just happy to be the number. We're trying to, revive the season, turn it around. SMU was like, this is my first time. I might not come back.
Right.
I might not come back, but I'm stuck a little bit in this podunk conference at the cookout at Auntie's house.
Well, they married into the conference now. It's too late. It's too late.
I did go around about way of saying that, but what I'm trying to say is we're about to watch two people fight, and then you have SMU being like, dang, this is what it is. This is what y'all kickoff really like. Okay, cool. Let's have it.
Here's the thing, right? These folks, they have much better decorum than me, so they can be.
You lack decorum?
Oh,
says the man that said I take a roundabout way to tell a story when it takes you 5 minutes to do a take. But go ahead.
Wow. You see how she do me. First day back. This is how I get treated. But anyway, the reality. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry for yelling in your ear a little bit. See, now you see how dramatic she is. First I take 5 minutes to get the takeout. Now it's, oh God, you're yelling. You're killing my ear. But anyway, very seriously, when I look at this thing, I see it like this, okay? Day one is going to be real interesting. And I feel like Phillips said, let's wrap this. Let's get the foolishness out the way early, right? Let's put me up there and let's put Florida State up there to see who the real ones are that's going to be here through all the days. Because I'm going to tell you, last year, that thing got real thin on them last couple teams last day. Things got kind of thin up there. I mean, thinner than my hair. And if you can't see, if you're listening to me right now, I'm shiny bald at the moment, not even matte bald like I normally am. So, I'm mighty thin. And so the reality of this thing is I don't like this from Jim Phillips because he's not being a showman. Like to me, now's the time to like, oh, yeah.
But maybe this is him saying, I got some chutzpah. Maybe this is him letting you know that my big ones are bigger.
He needs to go all in on being a bigger personality. Okay?
Now he should have invited Florida State, then Clemson. That's how you really get the kid popping.
He should have hit them upside the head by making them go dead last. He should have said, "Oh, this year we're going to organize it by the first teams up are the ones. We're going to do it by the furthest back teams to the furthest in front teams in the conference. All the new teams go on the first day. You know why? Because it keep that intrigue. Your champion is the one that's suing you, and you have to stick around for 4 days if you want to see it. Oh, how juicy that would have been! But he's not a showman. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that thing in him. He doesn't have that little bit of like.
It's not giving Stephen A. It's not.
It's not
giving Shannon Sharp. No.
I'm gonna tell you it. And I'm not gonna say no names because we don't get into politics on this show or whatnot. But there are many politicians that are strictly good at theater, and therefore people want to vote for them. Jimmy P is not good at the theater of this thing. You've got to put some pizzazz on it, and making Florida State go right after you, it wraps up the drama too quickly. You got to make them wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and then you break out with the, you know. Yeah, but
don't ever tell me I do a roundabout way of anything ever get in your life. I've
said my point. You know, everything I said was important to the point. It was orthogonal to the story. Okay. Me saying that he's not a showman and providing examples of why he's not a showman ain't talking about you got the mama who brings the sweet tea, you got the uncle who brings the napkins because he got a cataract, he can't cook nothing. You know he can't cook nothing. You got the auntie that got glaucoma over there, and you know she used to be able to cook real good, but she losing it a little bit. So
let me help you. Let me help you. I don't have to come back. How about that? I can quit right now, and you know I will. So don't.
And listen,
you know I will. So don't.
Well, what it is, then, okay? You are sitting up here threatening me.
What's up? Okay.
I'm just saying. You see, y'all see what happened. Y'all see what happened. Candace though went out there to Vegas for the Super Bowl and came back as a whole new person. Third
person to tell me that. All right, July 23rd, the second day of ACC kickoff, because this is a 30-minute show. Get to it. California will kick us off, followed by Pitt, Stanford, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. Now, California and Stanford being there together, you know, it's like your new. I'm not even going to give you a story because clearly mine suck. But you have your new friends coming together. You've got your ones that are tied together, Virginia and Virginia Tech. And then Pitt, you know, we have to talk to them. So there's that. But yeah, Tuesday will be that. So Monday through Thursday will be a whole shenanigan. And Wednesday, on the third day, he told us, Boston College with new coach Bill O'Brien, which I haven't seen you since Bill O'Brien got the nod, but would love to hear your thoughts if you have any.
That's one member of the Ball Brotherhood that I can't stand. And I'm going to leave it right there. Okay?
The man needed a job now.
He had a job. He had a perfectly good job. Okay? For Boston, I get it. You're hiring in an abnormal situation where, you know, you kind of got to pick from what's left because the coaching carousel effectively came to a screeching halt. And then your coach decides to jump off and leave y'all without anybody sitting in your chair during musical chairs. I don't like the hire one bit. But Bill O'Brien can very well prove me wrong. He can 1,000% prove me wrong.
He's hiring a name. The standards are low. The bar is in you know. And so he don't have to be amazing. He just has to do enough, and they'll be all right. So
I'm with you when you're right, and you're not wrong here.
Boston College, Duke with Manny Diaz. Louisville will be up there with Coach Brown, Miami, and Wake Forest. There was interesting conversation that were happening in our comments about Miami. I know you did a whole show about Coach Fran and talking about being a good recruiter, and a lot of angst was towards, is Mario just known as the recruiting guy? Is there going to be some recruiting competition? Like what's going on there? And, you know, Wake Forest, of course, being in that mix of, you know, who are they now? It's been a while. Coach Clausen, to see some sort of, you know, resiliency. This will be the year for that. But didn't know if you want to make a comment since I wasn't here and I missed your little.
I mean, yeah. I think that Fran is a really good hire he was named the number one recruiter in the country last year. And I've always said this about college football. More than anything else is about who the best recruiter is, right? Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you need to have some of the X's and O's, some of the game management. But if you can recruit the guys who can get it done, everything else is Katie Dids at the doorstep. It's you know, it's the Hayes in the barn. you got it done if you can get the best players consistently. How often is it that we see a coach always go out and get the best of the best and still lose? It just doesn't happen.
Right. Last day, it'll be Clemson, North Carolina, and North Carolina State because they can't be without each other. And then Syracuse saving the best potentially for last. He might be the most impactful while you playing.
You know, there's always one or two coaches that makes you want to run through a brick wall for them, you know. Mm-hmm. It was Hafley originally for some of us.
It was Jeff Collins for me, so I know what you're talking about.
Is that better? Is that?
I was just letting you know.
Is that better?
I was just letting you know.
They committed vehicular manslaughter. They were just drunk driving and hit 3 people. Everybody's alive though. Like what?
All I'm saying is every time I get excited about a coach, they get fired. So or they quit or they do something. So I don't know. I'm glad I'm on the other side. You know, I'm just a girl.
You said every time you look up something bad happens, you just gonna keep your head down for now.
I'm just a girl. I don't know how to pick coaches clearly.
Well, I'll tell you this. There is a lot of optimism around Syracuse right now, and rightfully so. I think that this is a very exciting hire for many reasons. However, I will warn, this is a lot like drafting Spencer Rattler for me, right? Oh my God. The ceiling is through the roof. The ceiling of what Fran can do there, through the roof. The floor of a guy who's never been a head coach before, also very bad. Things could go very wrong very quickly.
Well, you know, I loved me some Coach Dino Babers, so it's going to be hard to top that one. But I digress. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite players, NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Did you win anything big about, like, you know, the coin flip or the national anthem? Reba. My roots are planted in the past. I love me some Reba.
A single mom who works too hard, who loves her kids and never stops.
She ain't need to sing that anthem now. Really? I love Reba. She ain't need to sing that anthem.
So here's the thing. I know a lot of people don't know this about me. I hate the spectacle that happens around football and games. So, like, I only turn it when the game is actually going on. Like, I turn away for halftime shows and all that.
You did not watch Usher?
No, which is, like, I apparently have to now because everybody's like, oh, Usher was shimmying like a noob. And I'm like, I didn't see it.
He wasn't shimmying like a noob, but he had noobs in the show.
I didn't watch. I'm not a halftime show person.
You support our people.
I don't want to support anybody who's detracting from an excellent football game. Shorten up that halftime.
That was an excellent football game to you?
Yeah. I'm not fooling with you today. I ain't fooling with you. I ain't doing it.
That wasn't a great game. Come on.
Oh my God. Here we go.
It wasn't. I got to get to the lawsuit, but it wasn't a great game because I feel like if we had a better quarterback on the 49ers, because there was just some passes that I was like, Jordan could have made them.
What?
And I'm talking about Jordan Love.
What?
All I'm saying
does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
What do you mean? It would have been a better game had he been able to hit some of those rockets.
You know why he couldn't hit some of those rockets? Because he had this really big guy named Christopher Jones up in his grill.
Nah, he missed
like a good dentist.
He missed some wide open ones, some dingers.
Listen, I hear you. I hear you knocking, nephew, but I ain't gonna let you in. That was an amazing football game, and I will not be told otherwise.
I thought it was a great defensive performance from both sides. Steve Wilkes ought to get paid. It should be somebody's head coach. That's what I think. I think Kyle Shanahan wet the bed. But that's neither here nor there.
Oh, Kyle Shanahan wetting the bed in a big game when he has a lead. Shocker. Tell me if you heard that story before. But anywho.
Have you heard the story of Florida State amending their lawsuit?
I very much so have. We got some very interesting stuff going on. And like I said, see, this is why Candace, she got that showman in her. She got that show woman in her, right? She got it in her because I was so excited. I said, we need to start the show with the amendment. We need to start. Candace said, sit your happy tail down. We gonna get to it when we get to it. We got some other things we got to get to, and plus, you're excited to talk to people about this. It's gonna be great. But anyway, here we go. The ACC is now being sued in an amended lawsuit. So it's not a whole new lawsuit. It's just an amendment to the current lawsuit. And that calls back former Commissioner John Swofford in saying the university name drops former ACC Commissioner John Swofford in the deals made during the latter portion of his tenure, providing more evidence of fiduciary irresponsibility that FSU is alleging. The ACC's deal with Raycom Sports was one of the main points of contention as it, quote unquote, cost each ACC member several $1 million and continues to depress the value of their media rights, end quote, per FSU's amendment. Florida State is another quote here. Florida State is a victim of chronic mismanagement and self-dealing by ACC leadership and finds itself unable to effectively evaluate alternatives while the several withdrawal ACC penalties and the ACC grant of rights hang over Florida State's head. So
I guess my biggest issue, though, is like when you looked in the mirror, the person that signed the contract, nobody had a gun to your head and said, you better sign this agreement. You better sign this agreement. John Swofford didn't make you sign your powers that be make you sign it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? I've talked for the longest about how terrible Swofford was. I have pounded the table for forever about you went and got your people's paid at Raycom because there was no good reason for that media deal to happen. If that deal doesn't happen, you're not on Bally Sports for a lot of these teams. If these teams aren't on Bally Sports, they don't have games where it's like, wait a minute, why is our viewership down to 100,000? We have a 1 million person alumni base, or we have a 600,000 person alumni base. Why are we now looking at these numbers be worse than they've been in some time? Oh, the game's blacked out in the city that the college is located in. So I told everybody for the longest, this is on Swofford. Swofford will pay for his crimes one way or the other. And lo and behold, much like the NCAA does everybody with these punitive punishments, it's the next guy that gets hurt. Because now, little old Jimmy P, who say what you will about him, I don't think much of him one way or the other. I think he's very meh. He now is left holding the bag after Swofford rode off into the sunset, cashing in some terrible deals.
I agree. I'm not going to disagree with you one bit, but I think at the end of the day, you can amend every lawsuit you want to. I'm just ready for the finale, the series finale, and let's do what we got to do with it. At this point, like if you're gonna find all the loopholes, find it. But even still, you think they didn't know Swofford was raggedy by now? Like, why? What makes these lawyers so special? And again, I'm not coming from like a rude place. I'm like, very much educate me. Like, how come nobody found this until now?
Well, I don't think anybody was looking until now because I don't think the disparity between the monies was as great as it is or is heading to be until this point. Like, yes, the deals were bad in terms of it got you less viewership. It got you, less expansive, less growing your fan base type of moments. But with that being said, it was good enough. It was, keeping up. It was keeping pace, even though it was falling behind. And it's like the difference between losing a race by a couple steps and getting lapped. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. That's a very different situation. Gotcha. And now when you're watching the guys who are beating you come back around, you're like, oh, what the hell is going on here? That's what Florida State is effectively saying, which, I mean, listen, I do agree with you. Yeah. Exactly. I agree with you. You signed a 360, and that's where you are now. But I very much so understand their anger.
Not with you when you're wrong, but we more so are trying to get it right. And at the end of the day, hey, we've got maybe by Florida State leaving, other teams will follow suit and we can condense our ACC kickoff days down. I don't know. I ain't mad one bit. But that's our time for today's episode. Again, we're not coming from a mean place. I would love to be educated. Florida State fans, I know how y'all like to jump us, but please just relax. We're just trying to learn. Just trying to learn a little bit down in Tallahassee, just right on there with DJU. So let us know how you feel about 4 days. How do you feel about Florida State's amendment and all the like? Make sure you check out our recaps on Duke Wake Forest game and a lot of ACC hoops as we're coming down the stretch. Who's going to be that regular season champ? Who is going to win the ACC title? Who is going to get a spot in the NCAA tournament? Is the Lunardi bracketology, all that stuff going to work out in our conference is favored. We'll talk about all of that throughout the week. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, until next time.